Welcome back to CF Clips. This is the Apollo 11, and it is as patriotic as Neil Armstrong doing the moonwalk. All jokes aside, Apollo or Live Free Armory, who makes the Apollo 11, is fairly new to the Double Stack 1911 game. With that being said, this is a fantastically priced weapon, being sub $1,000, albeit just barely, and depending on when you're buying it and where you're buying it, and if any features are added onto it, it may be just a little bit above that 1,000 mark. Either way, a Double Stack 1911 coming in right around that 1K mark is hard to find. So, without further ado, let's dive in to the pistol, starting with the tip. Up front, you do have a single dot sight that's going to be a actual night sight, which is pretty nice. Now, you do have a 4.9-inch bushingless bull barrel that is match rated, which is quite nice, especially again for that price. Now, it does have a little bit of contrast, being silver or chrome plated, whatever you want to consider that. And contrast is something that a lot of people appreciate. With that, you have an optics plate up top, so you can swap out or use the various optics of your choice depending on exactly what you want to run. Pulling up on that rear, you can see that we also have a blacked out rear sight, if you didn't catch it when I was talking about the front sight. This is going to make acquiring your target downrange very nice and easy. Now, before we leave the slide, let's talk about these lightning cuts up front. You have nice slide serrations on the side with nice lightning cuts up top. Very nice overall, and I will say tastefully done. Gives it a cool look, especially with that chrome barrel underneath, or that shiny barrel underneath, especially after you clean it. You also have on the rear some slide serrations as well, followed by a skeletonized hammer. And of course, as I've already shown in this video, everything is clear and good to go, but I figure people will hate on me if I don't say it. So, that skeletonized hammer does feel very nice. It has a little bit of grip texturing right on the back here, making it very easy to actuate with one hand. As we fall down to the bottom portion of this pistol, it's a little bit of a different style of pistol because you have polymer here, polymer trigger guard, but the bottom portion here is made out of steel. So this is going to be very nice for rigidity, going to keep it flat shooting, going to give it a little bit of heft up front, and it does lean a little bit front heavy, which is what you would expect, but they still managed to include a very nice and long Picatinny rail on the bottom with 4 crossbar slots. These crossbar slots are going to be great for mounting any of those lights or the lasers that you want to put on the bottom of your pistol. Now, over to the trigger guard. Again, that is a polymer trigger guard. That polymer trigger guard is fairly small, but it still should be good enough for you to get, if you have a light glove on, your finger in that trigger guard to pull that trigger. Now, let's talk about that trigger. You do have a polymer hammer release, otherwise known as a trigger, that is a little bit skeletonized as well, which is kind of an interesting take overall. It does have nice little cuts here, which does give it a little bit of a unique take. Now, go ahead and pulling that. Of course, I have to depress in the rear safety portion of the grip safety. You can see that it does have a little bit of take up, and then once you get to that take up, there's a nice clearly defined wall. So if you're trying to stage this pistol on a target, you can do that easily while slightly pressing that trigger in. And then bang, you're talking very light overall. It is a single action only trigger. Now, on that reset, you are gonna have a little bit of movement, and then bang. It does give you a nice crisp reset, so it's easy to feel. And then again, boom. While we got the mag out, let's talk about it. You have a 17+1 magazine. As mentioned before, you do have a grip safety here, which does have a little bit of a beaver tail on it. It's going to help keeping your hand from getting snagged in there, especially for those of you who have bigger or meatier hands. You also have a safety that is going to be ambi, not ambidextrous, ambi, as some of you called out in the comments in the past. There's also a left-hand side slide release that is very easy to actuate out of the box, which I can say for not all pistols is true. Because sometimes when you pull a pistol out of the box and you go to one-handed release that slide, it's a little bit rough around the edges, needs some breaking in. This one, nice and easy out of the box, which means it'll get more smooth as time goes on. Also on that side of the pistol, you have a circular mag release. Now, it is protruded out past the slide just a little bit here, so it is going to be easier to actuate. Now, the placement of it is small, so the circle is pretty small, the mag release itself, and it is put in a good spot to where I do not feel like I am going to accidentally hit this unless if I really, really try to. In fact, there we go. I was about to say even when trying to. is hard to do. On the bottom, you also get a bit of a mag well, or a flared mag well. As you can see, you have a little bit of lip right in here. That's gonna, of course, help if you slightly miss that perfect mag reload, which we all never do. You'll get a guide to right in and help you to make sure that that's seated properly. Now, always give it that little tap, and now we're good to go. Well, now, without further ado, I will say, depending on where you're going to find it, you can find it in some different colors. Right here, I have the black one. I know there's also an FDE one out there as well. So, kind of keep your eyes open depending on which color you prefer. So in review, you have a 4.9-inch bull barrel, which is going to be match grade. So very nice there. You have an optics cut with a front night sight, blacked out rears. You have a 17+1 magazine, and overall, I didn't mention it before, the grip is going to be moderately aggressive, which is great because it's not going to tear up your hands, but you're also not going to slip out of your hands whenever you're presenting downrange, and you've taken a couple of shots in the heat so your hands are sweating. Nice grip design there. Lastly, in conclusion, if you are looking for a super smooth 1911 style pistol that's not gonna break the bank and make you wish that you took out a loan instead of paying cash, this Apollo 11 from Lip-Free Armory might just need to be in your buying list, or at least at the top of that list. So if you have any experiences with the Lip-Free Armory Apollo 11, please leave a review down below. We would love to see your comments. That is all I have for you today. God bless. Stay safe. It is time to end. I'm gonna go shoot this thing now.